Welcome back to my channel. And today I'm back in the Wormcity Wormery and I've got it all dismantled. So this here is what is the sump. You can see there is the tap, and you can see here is where the worms have been coming down, because it's damp but not wet, because I don't run my bin too wet. And all that is just pure castings. There's a few worms here in just a little ball, you can see there. So what I'm doing today is I want to change this bin up a bit, because we're forecast getting some real heat. Now this is the layer that I've had as my current feeding tray. This one is the inoculating tray that I've had underneath it. So this sits on top of the sump. This one sits on top of that. This idea is what I got from Patrick over at Vermicomposting Learn by Doing. And I've liked doing this idea because it saves having to mess about inoculating with things from the garden or whatever else. By the time you come to harvest, this tray is ready to go. As you can see, it's already damp. This was completely dry when I put it in, and there's already castings in it because the little worms like to explore, and they move up and down through the system. However, the other thing that I did during the winter was I put the tray that I normally have empty on top. I put another load of shredded paper and cardboard in as a buffer to help keep them warm. And indeed the worms have been coming up into this as well. I have to make sure I don't knock it off. But because we've got this heat coming, what I want to do now is empty this because I use frozen water bottles in the top of here to keep them cool, because I'm in an outhouse but it's south facing, so it will still get very hot in here. And so then last year here in the UK we got record breaking heat waves of up to 40 degrees centigrade, which was unheard of here, and I struggled keeping my worms cool. But what they do is they move up into this tray to breed. So my other thought on this as well is that my winters are really long and drawn out. They're not amazingly cold for very long, but the worms do slow down. So I want to try and up the production. So my thought here is, because I can't do huge feedings in this without overheating, as the food breaks down with the microbes and everything else, it acts just like a normal compost heap in that you get the thermophilic heating process. That's not good for the worms, they don't like that. The worms exist in the mesophilic stage, which is when everything is broken down and it's cooler. So I want to try and ramp up the production process in this tower a little bit. But how do I do that without overfeeding the worms or heating up the process, most especially when I'm about to hit a heat wave? I don't want to do that. But my worms are very happy and they're breeding like mad. So my thought is, clear this out, because they're back down in there. They're going to do that all the time. You can't stop them because, you know, they like exploring. But I'm going to set this tray up as the new inoculating tray. I can't think. I'm exceptionally tired at the moment, and so I don't process very quickly. That's why I say a lot. I've become very aware of that when I've been editing. Sorry, but it's just the way that it is when you've got brain fog. So yeah, this is now going to become my new inoculating tray. It's sat in another one just here. This is going to become the new empty top tray for them. And these are going to become 2 feeding trays. In the winter, I fed in the middle to pull them away from the edges for when it was cold. I'm now going to go back to doing trench feeding. So I'm going to feed in the middle in this one. I'm going to feed on the edge in this one. And see how they got on. It might not work, but I'm hoping with the amount of worms I've got in here now that I can do 2 smaller trench feeds to keep the heat levels down in here through the heat waves, and hopefully the worms will be happy, and that'll ramp up the process, because you can see there's quite a lot of there's a lot more castings in here than it's probably showing on the video, but obviously I need this to be as productive as possible. And whilst the worms tick over in the winter, they're not super productive. So I don't have room for loads of wormeries or a big one. So I need this to churn out as much as possible. And if the worms are happy breeding, then hopefully I can do that with more trays. So that's what I'm going to do. Also, I've got an avocado pit. I see a lot of people put these in, and I'm curious to see what my lot do with this, whether it ends up growing, you know, sprouting in there, or whether they'll dismantle it, because it's rock solid. Well, it's a little bit crispy on the bottom actually, but yeah, so avocado pit versus worms. I'm going to see what they do with that, but that's going in anyway. And so yeah, I'm going to set this up. I've got a new shredder. My previous shredder was, it was great to, you know, for starting, and you know, if that's all you can get hold of, then fine. It's just it was a cross-cut shredder, but it didn't really handle the cardboard very well. I've now got a new shredder, and so I'll put it in there. It's a micro cut shredder. It's bonsai, and it's a 14 sheet shredder. I managed to get it on offer. My son got it for me through Amazon, because I don't have an Amazon account, but yeah, it handles it wonderfully and cuts it up into these shreds, so I'm hoping that'll help it break down a lot quicker. So that's what I'm going to set up the new tray with, and so I'm going to sort all that out, and then I'll come back to you and show you what I've done. So as you can see, I've now got the new inoculating tray in place. All the clearings from the sump are now into what was the inoculating tray. I've split the food into a trench here. That's all the clearings there from the bottom of that tray, the sump. So that's in that. That's the original feeding tray, and everything that was in that top tray, all the worms, because they were moving up there, I think trying to breed like they did last year, but the trouble is that all the cardboard that was up in there was drying out the castings, and so they wouldn't be able to breed in there because they like it quite a bit damper. That's why they moved down into the sump to breed. They breed there, but they will shed cocoons into these 2 trays. When I've been harvesting, I find a lot of cocoons in these trays. So, but to actually breed, they do prefer it to be quite a lot damper than I run the actual trays. So it will be better for this empty tray for them to actually come back up into that, because the condensation rises up there. So that will now be the main feeding tray, but Obviously I've got this one underneath it that I'll run at the same time and see if we can boost some production in here. It might work, it might not, but I don't know until I try. So yeah, and I'm now going to put it back together, and let me know if you've done this too with your tower and you've run 2 feeding trays at a time to try and boost production and keep the heat down. Let me know. And if it starts working properly, I might actually even order a few more trays and a few more worms and see if I can run it more effectively, because of course I can go up, but until I get this place cleared out a bit I can't run another tower. So that might be my way of boosting more production. But thanks for watching. I hope you're enjoying this. And nearly forgot the avocado pit, so I'm going to stick that in here, and yeah, we'll see how they get on with that. I might do absolutely nothing with it, but you never know. Anyway, again, thanks for watching. I hope you like and share and subscribe, and hopefully this will work. Let me know in the comments how you're getting on with yours, and especially if you're getting hit by the heat, let me know what your cooling techniques are. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.